All right, so here's a rundown of what I just got done doing. This whole stack of boards just got ran through the table saw with the Dado Stack in order to put the Dado groove on there. So that's all done. Over here, these boards have the lock miter ran on both sides, and these do not go through the Dado Stack. So now all my beams are ready for assembly. There's a couple important features about this setup with the Dado Stack for running these really long boards. First things first, these are GESM stock guides. You can set them at the proper height, and what they do is they keep downward pressure, and they have these wheels that are canted in that helps keep the edge of your board pulled against the fence as you run your pieces through. So these are almost a necessity. Otherwise, as you're running boards through, they'd want to, maybe bounce up here or there. Then you'd go to assemble your beams, and the lock miter wouldn't want to go together. So these have been an absolute necessity to use with this freeborn lock miter bit. I don't leave them on my fence all the time. They just slide right off, and most of the time they stay in the drawer, but I always get them out whenever I'm doing this lock miter bit. So the other critical component about this is the Dado Stack. The freeborn lock miter bit leaves a 1/4 inch tongue. This is your tongue right here that the lock miter leaves, so that's a 1/4 inch. So if you have a 1/4 inch Dado Stack, you don't want it to be exact, you want a little bit of room. I have this Freud dial-a-width Dado Stack that you can just turn the wheel and it'll micro adjust it, and that works awesome with this lock miter bit because sometimes you want this dado to be tighter. For example, on a column or something like that where I'm able to mill poplar really precisely, I can go with a tighter dado. But whenever I'm doing barn beams, like with a 16-foot long board, there's going to be some cupping and twist board. I want to give myself a little bit more room on the width side of things for my two pieces to go together. What'll happen is if you have it too tight and you got a real long board like this and something went wrong, it's not going to want to go together. But whenever you give it a little bit of extra play, it really makes assembling these large beams a lot easier. One other random side note, I just found a product, it's called HDPE, I believe, but it's a plastic product, high density, poly something or other. But I'm gonna find some uses for this stuff in the shop. I ordered it off Amazon, but you can actually mill it so you can make setup blocks out of it. So I actually just made these setup blocks. That way, if I ever have to move my bit and my shaper, I can set it back up right where I had it before. And also, this will help me to set up my dado blade at the proper fence position and the proper blade height. So I'll link that up in the notes, but it's something kind of cool I just came across. Okay, so let's dive into this Dado Stack a little bit more. I'm going to go ahead and just pop off these GESM stock guides. I will link those up also. This is a saw stop table saw, and I absolutely love this table saw. I think they're fantastic. I know they get a lot of hate from some people, but this is a 5 horsepower industrial model, and it's been absolutely awesome. And unlike a lot of table saws, the dust collection actually works. With a Powermatic running all that dados, the cabinet underneath on this one would have been full of sawdust. All right, so here's the Dado Stack. What's great about this is it's got this wheel here, and you can stack up multiple blades, but then this thing right here, as you turn this wheel, it clicks. And that actually gives it a little bit more width, 0.004 inches, whatever that is. It's a very micro adjust system, but it works great. With this lock miter, I'm shooting for about 0.28 on width. So I'll throw this in there, And then I'll take my dial caliper after it's all tightened down and check it so that I'm about 1/32 over a 1/4 inch, maybe a little bit less, you know, depending on what I'm wanting. So I'll link this up also. To me, this is a great investment in a Dado Stack. I've never needed any other Dado Stack other than this one, so highly recommend that also. All right, so I'm just getting done assembling these 8x8 beams and wanted to show you the process on assembling those. Couple quick tips. One thing I do is put a block on the inside. It's just got a couple pocket hole screws. If it's not slipping over a ridge beam, I glue everything, and what that does is it helps resist cupping whenever I hit it with my torch in the distressing process. That's a really important step, putting this block in, because it helps keep everything square and strong, and without that it's kind of a bad deal. If I am going to slip it over a ridge beam, I still go ahead and put the block on. I just don't glue it. I'll just pocket hole screw it, and then I'll take that out on site whenever I'm ready to install it. So the next thing is going to be glue choice. With lock mitering, Titebond 3 works really well because it's runnier and it has a longer set time versus like a Titebond 1, which is a little bit thicker and has a shorter set time. With this, it's going to give you longer to get everything assembled without causing issues. And also, if you get any globs of glue or whatever anywhere, as you push it, it'll kind of freely flow and disperse itself, whereas Titebond 1 or a thicker glue is not as prone to do that. So I've had really good success with Titebond 3 on stuff like this. With a typical lock miter bit like this, the #1 mistake that guys make is over gluing the joint. Because you're running the material through and everything is machined perfectly according to this bit, there's no room inside of these crevices for glue to go anywhere. And so guys over glue it, and then the joint doesn't want to go together well. One of the advantages of this freeborn lock miter bit, with being able to make your dado a little bit wider, is it gives somewhere for a little bit of excess glue to go, and it just makes it easier to assemble that way. You don't have to get just the perfect amount of glue in the joint like you do with a bit like this. Okay, on to assembly. So as you can see, I've got my pieces on the side propped up here. I'm just going to go ahead and glue those. Again, here the Titebond 3 really helps to get you a little bit longer time to get your beam assembled, and then the thinner viscosity of the glue just helps a lot. If you get any globs or whatnot, it'll kind of spread itself out as things push together. It may seem like more work on the front end doing a lock miter, but on the assembly process it really shines. As you glue it and then you go to put your two pieces together, everything just clicks into place, whereas if you just would have done a regular 45-degree miter, it's a whole different story on getting the joint to go together well, because it can slip all over the place. My mic was doing funny things on me on the last one, so going over this again, you want to use heavy duty packing tape for this. If you use the thin stuff, it's a pain to get off and it doesn't stick quite as well. What'll happen is it'll tear and leave little pieces behind, and it's super annoying. So I found this heavy duty packing tape to work well. I'll link in the notes below to the where you can get that on Amazon. So hope the video helped. Let me know what you guys think. If you've got any other ways of doing it, I'm always curious to learn. A buddy of mine turned me on to the freeborn lock miter bit, and it's been a game changer for me. So hopefully maybe some of you will find it useful as well. So here's some photos of jobs that I've done over the last 12 months or so. Bit works really great, works on plywood also. These are some 12 by 12 plywood columns made out of 10-foot sheets of poplar. So it's been a great bit for me. Don't forget to thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll have affiliate links to the tools in the notes below the video. Thanks for watching.